Okay, let's unpack this. In a world that just feels louder and more crowded than ever, I mean, how do you even begin to get noticed? How do you make an impact when there's just so much noise, whether it's an idea, a business, or even just finding your own voice?
It's a real challenge,
Yeah.
and it's more than just a feeling, it's a fundamental shift. And that's precisely what Mark Schaefer zeroes in on in his 2024 book, Audacious, Thriving Through Boldness in a Noisy World.
Audacious. Okay.
Yeah, and what he argues is, well, pretty compelling. He's saying boldness isn't just some nice-to-have trait for a few daring people. It's actually becoming a necessary survival skill, like
Okay,
non-negotiable.
survival skill.
Yeah, exactly. So this deep dive is really all about understanding that shift, why playing it safe just doesn't cut it anymore, and how Audacity, how it's become the real differentiator, whether you're talking marketing, business, or even, personal growth.
That's a pretty big claim, isn't it? That just being good isn't enough. You have to be audacious. So, all right, over the next few minutes, we're going to dig into what Schaefer actually means by audacity. We'll look at how to cultivate it and the ripple effects it can have. Consider this your shortcut, maybe, to the core ideas from his book, getting a grip on how to move forward with more confidence.
Exactly. We'll tackle why it's so essential now, how to get past those internal things holding us back, and importantly, some real actionable ways to build that audacity muscle, step by step.
Okay, let's jump right into that first big theme then. Because it sounds foundational, Schaefer puts it very bluntly, safe is invisible, bold is unforgettable. That's stark. So why now? What's changed, in his view, to make boldness not just helpful, but critical for survival? Why is safe suddenly invisible?
Well, if you sort of zoom out, you see this relentless flood of information, right? In competition, it's constant. Every single minute, there are millions of new blog posts, videos, companies, voices,
Yeah.
all fighting for the same limited attention.
It's overwhelming.
Totally. And Schaefer's point is, in this attention economy, just being good enough or average, that's basically being invisible now. Safe strategies, average content,
Wow.
they don't just struggle to get noticed, they basically vanish into the background noise.
So you either stand out boldly or you just blend in?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He paints it starkly.
Yeah.
Differentiates through audacity or become part of the undifferentiated mass. And this isn't just about flashy marketing. It's about breaking mental habits, challenging assumptions in your field, showing up in a way that demands attention, not just politely requests it. Think about those people or brands that suddenly cut through everything. They weren't just better, usually. They were different, unexpected, often bold, unforgettable.
Right, you remember them. And it's not just for giant companies, is it? You can feel this playing out yourself. Like, imagine you're in a meeting pitching an idea. If you just say what everyone expects, stick to the safe path, how likely are you to really make waves to get that idea noticed?
Exactly. Schaefer's basically saying invisibility isn't just a risk if you play safe. It's almost guaranteed now.
So, for you listening, where might you be playing it too safe? In your job, your projects, even just getting your point across. Where might safe be making you invisible?
Yeah, and thinking about that naturally leads to the next big question. If we agree boldness is needed,
Right.
what stops us? What's the biggest internal roadblock?
Yeah, it's often that feeling, isn't it? Like you're waiting for permission, waiting for a boss or a mentor or just someone to give you the green light before you really step out.
Hmm.
But Schaefer hits that head on. He says, you don't need permission to be extraordinary. You only need to decide. That cuts deep. What's behind that? This idea that permission is power. How do we make that internal shift?
Well, this is where it gets really psychological.
Yeah.
Schaefer points out that real progress, like genuinely new stuff, happens when you give yourself permission. Permission to try things, to be different. So many of us are just wired to look outside for validation. Wait for the committee, the market research, the leader's nod.
Right, seeking approval.
Yeah. But Schaefer says permission is internal. Waiting for others keeps you stuck. Bold people, they self-validate. They decide to go for it, try it out, without needing someone else's blessing first. It's like taking ownership of your own potential.
Flipping the script from can I to I will,
Yeah.
that's a big mental leap.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And tied right into that is dealing with what he calls the biggest barrier, fear,
Fear, always there.
always. And he's not saying, become fearless. That's probably a possible, maybe not even healthy. He says act despite the fear. And crucially, reframe it.
Reframe fear.
He argues fear isn't always a stop sign warning of danger. Often it's actually a signpost for growth. It tells you you're near the edge of something new, something potentially significant. So instead of letting it paralyze you, you can learn to see that feeling, that anxiety, as fuel. like a compass pointing towards where the real opportunities are.
That feels freeing. Acknowledge the fear, understand maybe it means you're onto something important, and then use that energy to move forward anyway. So, for you listening right now, what permission are you waiting for? What bold step, big or small, are you holding back on? Because you're looking for that external okay.
It's a really revealing question. Often the answer points directly to where your audacity is waiting to be unlocked.
Now, when we hear bold, sometimes we think of these massive risky moves, right? Quitting the job, betting the farm on one idea. It sounds kind of reckless.
Yeah, intimidating.
But Schaefer suggests it doesn't have to start like that. He talks about something much smaller, small acts of courage. Tell us about that.
Right, this tackles that how do I do this without being reckless question. Schaefer's insight is, well, pretty practical. Audacity doesn't always mean giant leaps. Often it starts small, with consistent, manageable choices. He calls them micro risks.
Micro risks. I like that.
Yeah. Steps just slightly outside your comfort zone. Maybe pitching a slightly unconventional idea. Questioning a process everyone accepts. Trying a new approach to an old problem. These aren't huge gambles, but they are little acts of courage, and they build confidence for bigger things later.
Like exercising a muscle. Start small, build strength.
Exactly that. You
That's
start
it.
with lighter weights. Consistency builds strength over time. It transforms behavior. Each small success, each little win reinforces that you can be audacious. It paves the way.
Accumulating wins, building momentum. That makes sense. But okay, with any risk, micro or macro, things might not work out perfectly. Failure happens. How does Schaefer deal with failure? Because that fear of failing is probably the biggest thing holding people back from being bold.
This is so crucial. His take on resilience is, honestly, game-changing for many. He doesn't say avoid failure. He says it's inevitable, maybe even necessary if you're taking bold action.
Yes.
Well, think about it. If you're never failing, are you really pushing boundaries? Are you trying anything truly new? Probably not. But the key, he argues, is how you frame failure. His reframe is powerful. Failure data.
Failure equals data.
It's not defeat. It's not the end. It's just feedback. Information. Every time something doesn't go as planned, you learn something valuable. It helps you adjust, refine, figure out what does work. Think like a scientist. An unexpected result isn't personal failure. It's just data informing the next experiment. That's the mindset.
It takes the sting out of it, reframing it like that. It's just information gathering. So for you listening, what small, consistent act of boldness, what micro risk could you try this week? Maybe share that idea you've held back. Suggest a small change. And if it doesn't fly, remember, data. What did you learn?
Exactly. It totally changes your relationship with setbacks. They become guides, not roadblocks.
So we've talked individual boldness, business strategy. But you mentioned Schaefer takes it broader. What about how we interact with others, leading teams? Is Audacity just for the individual, or does it impact groups, relationships?
Yeah, he definitely expands it. And the leadership angle is critical. It's not just about the leader being the bold one. Audacious leaders, he says, empower their teams to take smart risks. They build cultures where trying things is okay, where mistakes are learning moments, not punishable offenses.
So creating safety.
Psychological safety, yes.
Right.
That's the term. Creating an environment where people feel safe enough to speak up, challenge things, propose new ideas, even mess up sometimes, without fear of being shot down or humiliated. Cultures that punish failure, they kill innovation. Audacious leaders know this. They foster that safety net.
That's a big difference from just being the bold boss telling everyone what to do. It's about enabling others' boldness.
Precisely. And he even brings it into personal relationships. He talks about vulnerability as a form of audacity.
Vulnerability as audacity.
Think about it. Opening up, being authentic, sharing your real self. That feels risky, right? It exposes you. But Schaefer argues that's an act of courage. And it's through that kind of bold vulnerability that you build deeper, more real connections. Personally, professionally, both.
Yeah.
So ultimately, audacity isn't just a tactic. It becomes like a life philosophy. He sums it up. Courage plus creativity plus conviction, an extraordinary life.
Wow. Courage, creativity, conviction, and vulnerability as part of that courage. That really lands. It connects back to that idea of showing up fully. So for you listening again, how could you foster a bit more psychological safety around you? Or maybe what small act of authentic vulnerability could deepen a connection? How could you encourage someone else's micro risk?
It really does shift how you think about success, leadership, connection, everything.
Okay, let's quickly recap the absolute must-remember nuggets from this deep dive into Mark Schaefer's Audacious. First, boldness beats safety today. Safe is invisible, bold is unforgettable, you need to stand out.
Right.
Second, Permission is self-given. Don't wait for someone else. Decide. Third, fear isn't a stop sign, it's fuel. It signals growth is possible. Lean into it.
Reframe it.
Fourth, audacity starts small. Build it with consistent micro-risks. It's a muscle.
Small steps compound.
And finally, failure is just feedback. It's data, not defeat. Learn from it.
Absolutely. Learn and iterate. Which brings us to maybe one final thought to leave you with. If Schaefer's right, and audacity is not recklessness, it's permission to show up fully, what does showing up fully actually look like for you, specifically, starting today? What's one small, courageous step you could take, maybe even in the next 24 hours, that lets your real voice, your unique idea, start to emerge from all that noise?
That is a powerful question to sit with. How do you show up fully? Starting now. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Audacious. We really hope these ideas spark something for you, encourage a little more boldness in your own journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and yeah,